Okay, we're going to be taking a look at 2 of our 6 kingdoms today. That's right, we're going to look at Archaea and Bacteria. 2 kingdoms that used to belong to one, but scientists realized in the 90s, hey, these things are way too different for them to be classified as the same thing. So you're going to get some notes today. Those notes will help you with a quiz you're going to take at the end to make sure that you're getting this information. And the second thing you're going to do is you're going to start filling out a common characteristics of the 6 kingdoms chart. This is going to be a chart that goes over a lot of things. And here is a picture of the chart right now. Okay, that's the chart you're going to fill out, and the notes that we're going to do today are going to help fill that chart out. Now, we're going to be talking about things like what types of cells they have, how many cells they have, where they're located, and everyone's favorite, I know, reproduction. It's what makes all 6th graders giggle every time we talk about it. And then we're going to talk about different examples of these 2 organisms today, but this whole chart will be filled out with all kinds of examples later on. So let's get to the notes. 2 kingdoms that we're going to study today are Archaea and Bacteria. Archaea and Bacteria used to belong to a kingdom called Monera. In the 1990s, however, the Monera kingdom was replaced because there were significant enough differences between Archaea and Bacteria that they became their own kingdoms. Sometimes Bacteria gets a bad rap. Yes, there are some bad bacteria, but there's also good bacteria. There can be good bacteria found in yogurt, some cheeses, and even in your gut to help you digest and process food. On the downside, there is some bacteria like food poisoning and infections like strep throat. So let's get into some of the characteristics of Archaean bacteria. First up, they are both prokaryotic, meaning they don't have a nucleus. They are both unicellular, meaning they are made up of a single cell. Bacteria in Archaea's cells are pretty basic. They consist of a cell wall, cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like substance, and they have genetic material inside them which contains the DNA. We'll talk more about cells and their organelles later in the year, but right now what you need to focus on is that they have cell walls and that they have genetic material DNA inside of them. What do Archaea and Bacteria do for energy, or how do they get their food? Well, they are both heterotrophic, which means they consume other organisms for food. They are also autotrophic, which means they can make their own food. They do this in 2 different ways. They can do it through a process called photoautotrophic or chemoautotrophic, meaning photoautotrophic is by making food using light, and chemoautotrophic means that they make it by using different chemicals. Archaea tend to be chemoautotrophic because they live in such harsh and extreme environments where oxygen might not exist. Okay, time for everybody's favorite topic, reproduction. There's 2 different ways that organisms reproduce, asexually and sexually. Bacteria reproduce asexually through a process called binary fission. They make copies of their DNA and then they split in half. They can do this rapidly. In the right conditions, they can double every 20 minutes. That's one bacteria turning into 30,000 in just about 5 hours. Our next set of notes talks about the habitat of Archaea and Bacteria. For the most part, they have some similarities. For example, they both are terrestrial and aquatic. Terrestrial means they can live on land. Aquatic means they can live in water. They both share this characteristic. Archaea are known as extremophiles, meaning they live in very harsh, extreme environments. They can live in hot springs where the temperature gets over 170 degrees, or they can live in rivers of pure acid. Because of their ability to withstand these extreme conditions, Scientists believe that Archaea are the oldest organisms that inhabited the Earth. Because new discoveries happen every day, there are thought to be over 400 different types of species of Archaea and over 10,000 different species of bacteria. Some examples of Archaea are thermophiles that live in very hot, steamy environments, halophiles, which live in extremely salty environments, and methanogens that can live in methane type of environments. All of these would be dangerous to other organisms. Examples of bacteria are E. coli and Salmonella, two types of food poisoning that you can get from bacteria, and probiotics that contain good bacteria for you. Bacteria can be classified by the shapes that they have. There are spherical bacteria, and those are called cocci. There are rod-like that are called bacilli. And then there are finally spiral ones that are called spirochetes. All right, there's your notes. I wish you were here that you could do the bacteria lab in class. It's a lot of fun to see what different objects around the school look like and what this bacteria looks like up close. But there's some information about bacteria, and I find Archaea fascinating, especially the grand prismatic spring. That I would love to go to one day to see all these different colors of this Archaea that live in those springs. So let's get to the quiz of the questions about the notes, and let's make sure we fill out our common characteristics of the Kingdom of Life chart.